Welcome to the Lundquist Real Estate Podcast. My name is Keanu Risch. This is Christy Lundquist. Some of the topics we're going to talk about is appraisals. Christy specializes in commercial appraisals, and I focus on residential home sales and listings. That's who we are a little bit. Do you have anything exciting, anything new that's coming up, anything that you want to touch base on, any exciting appraisals that you're allowed to talk about or that just got finished?
Let's see. As far as exciting ones, right now I am working on a church. So they're trying to get some values for insurance. So everyone thinks of appraisals as typically just being done for a loan.
Okay.
And that's true. But then you can also do appraisals for other things, like in this case, insurance. If there's a fire, that'd be another instance where for insurance purposes, divorces, estate work, that type of thing.
So roughly, I'm not asking for, this is what every person does to an appraiser. How much is it worth? And I want to know right now. Just give me a roundabout.
I don't do that.
Yeah,
I'm always wrong.
Yeah, it's a terrible option.
When I go to a property, I'm gathering information and I don't have a set figure in mind. And anytime I've ever done that, I've been wrong and I've regretted it. So I don't do it anymore.
Yeah, that's what Bob told me. Bob said, Keanu, do not go there and tell them a number. Go there, take pictures, look at the property, take notes, go back, look at comparables, and then formulate a price.
Yes.
Do not do it without looking at the property.
Yes.
Yeah, that would be the very first thing I'd ask you. Oh, roughly how much is it worth? But I mean, I guess that makes sense when you're trying to figure out what a monthly premium needs to be to replace that property. It makes sense that you'd need to know what it would cost to replace it or the appraised value. So that makes sense.
My real work happens when I get back to the office and I start doing my research, pulling sales and trying to see what's comparable to it.
Yeah. And you do like sketches, right? You do like a sketch of the property and then I want to say you have the well and the septic on some of them.
On some of them. If they are government-backed loans like FHA, USDA, VA, then the underwriters typically require on those loans that the distance between the well and the septic be shown on the sketch.
Okay.
And be a certain distance.
Okay. Well, so there's a little bit of a beginning here. Now, before we get too far along, I want to touch on some of the big community events. What's happening in Wabash County? So when this airs, it's going to be towards the end of December, so probably somewhere between December 20th and December 30th.
Okay.
Some of the things to talk about, it sounds like the new spec buildings are almost done getting built. They're going to be move-in ready by March of 2025, and that is in the industrial complex. Does that sound correct?
Yes, they're off of 13 and 24 is where you're talking about, correct?
Yes, Ringel Avenue. And it sounds like Kendall Electric already bought one of them.
Yes, the other one is available, and so Grow Wabash County would love to see someone get into that second building.
Yeah, absolutely. So call us. we want to sell it to you, which it sounds like they're doing it not for money. They're doing it to bring business to Wabash. We want to see Wabash grow.
Yes.
So the spec buildings are coming along. The former General Tire site, some people know it as GDX. It sounds like that's been remediated, and they are planning to put in 100-unit apartment complex plus single-family homes.
Yes.
So that is exciting.
Certainly.
That's a lot of housing. Now, I know there was talk about subsidized housing coming in south of 24, but I haven't heard anything else about it.
I have not either.
Yeah. And I haven't seen any, these are Bob's notes that he made for a committee. So, it's not in here that I saw. So.
Yeah, I don't have any knowledge of that.
It seems like it takes about a year to 3 years before a building starts coming up for the commercial sites.
It can because it takes time to get the surveys, make sure that any drainage issues, you have utilities accessible to the site, and those all take time to do.
Downtown and small business boom. Two retail suites are now open on Market Street, plus the co-op working space in North Manchester is growing. Sounds like a shout out to Red Clover and LaGrow. Do you know Red Clover? It sounds like they're kind of like an antique, eclectic kind of.
I've not been there yet. I want to stop out, but I haven't made it.
So I looked at it. I was actually out in LaGrow working the other evening, and I looked it up, and it looks like they have some cabin kind of Western outdoorsy kind of feel stuff, and it sounds like maybe even like some food.
Hmm.
I'm not positive. Don't hold me to that, but I'm sure they'd appreciate it if you just go out there and check them out sometime. So moving from there, the Adult Education Center that just opened. Community kickoff. Sounds like there's a county-wide roadway and litter cleanup in March of 26. So you can always, it's a little ways out there.
It'll get here quicker than you think, though.
Yeah, it always goes. I mean, it'll be here anytime. But if you want to give back to your community and not be like the people who litter in the first place, go out there and make a difference. This is your opportunity.
I'm sure they'd appreciate the help.
Do you have any clients that were exceptional that you want that you're comfortable and able to acknowledge something that they did really good on?
Oh my. I guess
If they did really bad, we may not want to talk about it.
In what way, as far as exceptional?
So when I think of this, if I was to answer it, I think of Eric and Kylie Stagg. They were awesome clients. Every showing request I put in, whether it was an hour before, they approved. And that's not always feasible, but they managed to do it. And we got an offer on their house, and we got it accepted, and we were able to get them into the house that they're buying. And I think I talked about this a little bit with Tisha 2 podcasts ago, the importance of this. But just like an example, you thought, man, this client did above and beyond all my other clients.
Well, I feel pretty blessed in some ways because I can't say I've had very few bad experiences with my clients. And I consider them really clients/friends. I've gotten to know them that well over the years. And so, I mean, I can't single one out as one I think is exceptional over another. So I feel very blessed in that regard.
Yeah. That's actually one of my favorite things about real estate. I love law enforcement. Okay. I love real estate. I think I enjoy the part of real estate of I get to help somebody towards something they want to go do. Most people don't want to go to jail. It's not really a glorifying thing, it's just kind of negative, even though you may be protecting, the public to some degree. Real estate's very rewarding because you get to know your clients. You know why they're moving, where they're coming from, what they want, what they don't want. You get to learn their kids' names. You get to know their dogs. Those 2 dogs are nice. That one's going to eat you. And you're getting to help them accomplish a goal. And so that's one of the things I like about real estate.
Yeah, me too. I would say probably one of the most rewarding things I enjoy is especially like a first-time home buyer, when they're really excited about, they found the home that they want to purchase and they get through all the hoops, to be able to hand them the keys and, to say, congratulations. And you can tell they're just really excited about that. And that's fun.
Yeah. One thing I was going to say, my clients up in North Manchester, the Shepherds, they did an awesome job. I went out there. They talked to me, if I recall correctly, it was rather last year or it was this spring. I talked to them and I said, hey, these are the things I would focus on. And then they reached out to me earlier this fall and said, hey, we are ready. We worked on the things you told me about. They're done and we're ready to list it. I went back out there and we listed it and we got practically a full price offer.
Nice.
And that is exceptional. That's awesome. I mean, when your realtor comes out and says, I would do A, B, and C, and you do A, B, and C, we list your house for sale and we get a full price offer, man, it just gets me pumped up.
Yeah.
Makes me feel like I did a good job. We already know you did a good job. To my clients, and it's just very rewarding.
Nice.
So, now moving from talking about our clients and the ones we really like, and I really don't have any bad clients that I don't like either.
Good.
And I do agree that when you work with them for so long, they become like friends.
Yeah, that's how I can.
Yeah.
They're my clients / friends.
Yeah, that's literally that's what it is. But moving on to the educational part, it's labeled educational deep dive on my outline. On a commercial appraisals, what is the basis? So, like, what's the difference between a commercial appraisal versus a residential appraisal?
I would say, for one, on residential properties, especially if they're being sold to Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac, which most of them are, especially in purchases, they have to be filled in on a form.
Mm-hmm.
And the commercial properties are more done on a narrative format. So you can be, you don't have to attach a bunch of addendums, see addendum back over here on page 30 when you're on page 5, like you do in a residential form.
Okay.
But a narrative, you have everything just kind of like in a narrative report. You've got your exhibits, you've got your photos right there, so you don't have to do all the page flipping. Now we have some big changes coming up in 2026 on the residential side. Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, who are the ones that buy loans from banks, on the banks, when they lend money to an individual, they take that loan, they resell it to Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, and that releases them to have the funds to relend to another borrower.
So can you explain that a little bit? Because I'm not an appraiser, I'm a realtor, and so maybe
and it might be best to have a lender on here for that. I'll tell you my limited knowledge.
Okay.
So when someone gets a loan for a purchase, the bank will lend the lesser of two amounts, either the sale price or the loan, or what the appraised value is.
Okay.
And then they package, if the appraisal comes in at the sale price or higher and everything looks good, then they package that loan and they will sell it on the secondary market.
Mm-hmm.
And that is basically the quasi-government Fannie Mae, and Freddie Mac.
Okay.
So they are big buyers of mortgages from these banks. Then when they buy that mortgage, that frees up that lender to be able to lend some more to someone else.
This would be Ruoff selling my home loan to Mr. Cooper.
Correct.
Well, that's the servicing. That's not necessarily the loan of it, right?
Yes. Well, it's like, for example, some will still service the loan. So if you saw, I'm just going to, pick say if you went to ABC Bank and they sold the loan, they may still agree to service it, or they may sell that servicing off with the loan itself. So it can be either way.
So let's say you got a loan for $100,000 house. They finance the whole thing, and they sell that $100,000 loan. Let's say it's at 5% interest. Do they sell that loan at a higher rate to Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac?
Now that I don't know.
Okay, I was just trying to figure out how, because everybody makes money. I was trying to figure out where the money's made, or if they have to wait until interest rates go up, because then you could sell it at a higher rate and make that interest make a percent back or something.
And I don't know, honestly, on that.
Okay, well that's what I was. I don't know. I know they sell the loan. I don't know exactly how that whole process.
And
works.
I don't know either.
Okay, so you have residential, and then you have commercial, and residential is in essentially like a fill in the blank with a bunch of addendums.
Yes, and that is changing a little bit, and it will become kind of a cross between they're saying the form is going away. When the appraiser goes on site now, they are going to be answering on their iPad a series of questions. So if you say, for example, like I'm just going to pick something. Say it's it's got a gas forced air furnace, then it might pop up, well, what's the age? Or, what's the condition? So it'll pop all these things in, and when you do your report, it will be more narrative.
Okay, so
So
it's
they're
like,
so it's a big change for appraisers. We're gonna have to get trained to using this basically new system coming into 2026 with our
gotcha.
software.
Yeah, and Bob said something about he thinks it's going to push a lot of appraisers out.
Yes, because we are a grain um, industry. So
Okay.
there may be some people who don't want to learn that new process
Yeah.
because right now a lot of people, not everyone is using the iPads and being some are still using pen and paper,
Hmm.
and that needs to essentially go away and be more technologically advanced.
So when you're appraising a house, I've always explained it because so when I talk to my sellers, we'll have the inspection. So the buyers will hire a inspector, Mike C, Holland's Inspection Services, any number of them,
Hmm.
and they'll come out. The buyer will say, "Hey, we want XYZ repaired,"
Hmm.
and we have to negotiate through that. Sometimes we're able to uh, repair all of them. Sometimes we're not able to repair some of them. Sometimes we're not able to repair any of them. It's as is. And then my buyers get taken off guard. Not when I typically tell them. They get taken off guard when I tell them, hey, the next hurdle is the appraisal, which is the important one. The inspection is not the important one necessarily. It can kill a deal, but it's not killing the deal typically for reasonable reasons. A lot of times, from my experience, inspections can scare buyers when they're not properly educated. They're not aware that house is being compared to a house that's completely up to code, or essentially, a house that's not very old.
Hmm.
Um, so I always explain that the inspection is for the buyers, the appraisal's for the bank. The bank's
Yes.
buying the house. And I explain that the appraiser is like the insurance policy. They're going out there, they're their hands and feet on the ground, and they're going to go look at the house, and they're going to identify any liability concerns. When I say liabilities, I mean loss of areas that could lose money. If it has a bad roof, right, that could ruin the value of the house really very quickly. Does it have structural issues? Is the basement caving in?
Correct.
Those are the things that you're going to highlight to the lender, right?
Yes. Um, in something like that, they may ask me for what's the estimated cost to cure, to put on that new roof.
So like
or,
repair it.
Yes, or replace. I may have to call for the foundation to be inspected by a contractor to make sure that there are no structural issues that I'm not trained, to know about. So yes, and then those things will have to be dealt with prior to them closing and to get the loan. So yes, it can create issues for you as an agent.
Yeah. And the kicker with the appraisal is you're not going to negotiate that out. That's what the bank wants. And so now I think you could contest it a little bit. Can you contest it?
Yes, you can ask, especially like on value, not so much on repair issues. You can, as a borrower, ask the appraiser to reconsider the value. And what may happen there is the borrower or you as the agent helping the borrower may need to submit, well, here's some sales that I think were used, when we put it on the market to price it as if you're representing the seller to help the buyer in this transaction. Or here, if you're the buyer agent, here's what I think it's comparable to. And then those are sent to the appraiser, and it's up to the appraiser to decide then whether these are ones they can add to the mix or not.
Gotcha. Okay. So the appraiser's job is to go out and check the condition of the home.
In the way it relates to value. Now, if it's a government subsidized loan like FHA, USDA, or VA, then the appraiser's looking at health and safety issues. So if the home was built before 1978 and there's peeling paint inside or outside, even on an outbuilding, that needs to be scraped, painted, and all the paint shavings are removed.
So half my clients that I've dealt with, that we've had to go out there and scrape paint and clean up all the paint chips. They can't be on the ground either.
Exactly.
And repaint. That's
Yeah.
okay.
And if there's, if there's a steep stairway and there's no handrail, those are things that those types of government subsidized loans usually will have an appraiser require be noted as a repair.
Okay. So you guys are going out there and not specifically looking at condition, but looking at specifically the value, and condition affects the value. So you inadvertently have to.
Yeah, we're not home inspectors.
Yeah.
We do a walkthrough, and we note any. I'll ask people when I come through, or if I can tell, did they do updates in the like paint, flooring, new roof, furnace, central air, plumbing, those kind of things? Or do I see obvious signs of deterioration or repair? Because I have to note that. Is there plaster that's, peeling from a roof leak? Or has the roof been repaired and this just was never repaired on the inside? Those are things that all make differences.
Okay. So we've talked about why you're going there, to check the value, which also comes into the condition of it. You're not an inspector, but you have to disclose pretty much anything you find or observe, right? Now, when you are doing, correct me if I'm wrong, there's multiple ways you can formulate an appraisal, right? You can do like a rebuild appraisal, like a replacement value.
There's 3 approaches to value.
Okay, 3 approaches of value.
Now, we don't use all of them in all cases. For example, on a residential appraisal, there'll probably be 2 of the 3 that are used. The 3 approaches are a cost approach, a sales comparison approach, and an income approach. For the typical buyer who's buying their home to live in, we're probably not going to do an income approach, because most people in the price range where someone's buying a home, an investor's not going to buy that kind of property for cash flow. So we usually eliminate that approach.
The income approach would be for like a rental, a duplex, quadplex, 100-unit apartment complex.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. And it's basing the value off of what it would cash flow.
Yes.
So it cash flows X, which makes the value Y.
Right.
Okay.
And the cost approach is where you are looking at if the property if the property were to be built.
You want a bottle of water?
No, I've got one over there. But so if the property were to be built new today, what the cost would be using modern materials. We call that replacement cost.
Okay.
Now, there is a section called a reproduction cost, but 9 times out of 10, we use the replacement cost new. And then to that, we add in, the value of the site improvements, like what's the cost of the concrete drive, or what's the cost of running utilities to the site. And then we depreciate that, because 9 times out of 10, we're looking at a property that is not new.
Yep.
And so there are different forms of depreciation and obsolescence that we have to take off. So physical depreciation is what you think of because of an older age. But then in an older home, it may have some functional layouts that's not to today's taste.
When you say physical depreciation, you mean that a house with no updates would be livable for 30 years. And so you depreciate the price of the house, so let's say $200,000 over the 30-year period of time.
Typically, yes. That's how.
I'm just trying to break it down.
Yeah. It's basically you're coming up if this home is, let's say, 30 years old, but it's had some things updated in it, and it's obviously has an effective age that's not as old as its actual age. So the appraiser uses their judgment and experience to determine, that effective age.
The effective age would be how much longer it's good for.
That would be basically what the amount of physical depreciation. So if the home is, say, 30 years old and we think it's got an effective age of 15, then we would give that physical depreciation 50%.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
So if you had a house that was going to be livable for 30 years, and at year 20 you completely remodeled everything down to the studs, it would have a 30 effective year of 30.
It might be 5 because everything's updated
Mm-hmm.
except for maybe the shell,
Okay.
if that makes sense.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then, we look at what we call functional obsolescence.
Okay.
So, like in today's world, like example would be if it was a 2-bedroom home, when we're used to the typical buyer prefers like a three-bedroom, 2-bath.
Okay.
That could be something that could signal the presence of a functional obsolescence.
So it'd be like if a coal furnace was in a house when the standard is forced air.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
And then the third type of obsolescence we can subtract from that cost new is what we call external. And that would be like if your house is next to something like the landfill, for example, that we have
you mean
noxious odors.
like-
so
Like
that
somebody
could be a
built.
problem.
I want. Yeah. All right. Bite the tongue here. Okay, so that'd be
And
like
then,
bad
so
neighbors.
that gives us a depreciated value of the improvements, and then we add back in for the value of the site.
Okay.
And that's one opinion from that approach. Then the second one we use is the sales comparison. And that's what most people think of, because you're trying to
Yes.
find sales that have sold
Mm-hmm.
in similar of, quality, condition, size, and location as you can to the one you're looking at.
Okay.
And then you take those sales and you adjust them to try to make them more similar, to give you a range in price for that. And then the appraiser says, okay, I had this result from the cost, this result from the sales, what makes sense in there, and ends up picking one value. If we were
Okay.
really doing it correctly, we do like a range. But for most people's purposes, they need one value to work off of.
Gotcha. Okay. So what you're telling me is that appraising a house is extremely difficult. It is complicated.
No, it's not that bad, really.
Okay.
It just takes a while to get some experience
Okay.
to get there, and
Okay.
and as part of the I have to be licensed to
Yeah.
do this work, and so they do make it a process to become an appraiser. You
Yeah.
have to be a trainee, and you have to gain experience hours working with someone who's already licensed.
Okay.
And once you achieve that experience, then you can become licensed on your own.
And it's a lot of experience, isn't it?
It can be.
Compared to like a realtor. A realtor's
Yes, there's a lot higher barrier to entry. And you have to have a 4-year college degree.
yeah, that's a lot higher barrier to entry. So, which is good, I mean, I'm appreciative of all of our Wabash County appraisers. Thank you guys. And you guys, no, you're like the backbone of real estate sales. I mean, I know a lot of people who do a really good job. So, and I appreciate you guys a lot. That's a good breakdown of it. It is kind of complicated.
It is.
It is kind of because I would say as realtors I would say we use the sales comparison approach, and then we also use the cost approach a little bit. When I just had a client, essentially, it had new septic, new furnace, new AC. It's worth a lot of money. It's worth, it's probably cost $50,000 to do, maybe not quite 50, probably 40,000 to do it all, and it's probably worth an extra, probably boost the value an extra 25.
Yeah, that's the bad thing that sometimes people don't realize is, they need to put their buyer's hat on. If you have a property and it needs a new roof, most buyers are going to automatically discount what they're thinking the value is by the cost to put on a new roof.
Mm-hmm.
If you put on a new roof before you put it on the market, you're not going to get that full $40,000 back, because most people are like, okay, the roof's good.
Yeah, that's
and they move
standard.
on.
It should come with the roof, right?
Right.
Well, it's brand new, but
Buyers don't
no.
typically see that.
It's about like I tell everybody, I said, just expect your new house to be dirty. We're going to ask them to clean it, and they will 99% chance they're going to clean that house. In their mind, they're going to deep clean it, and they are going to deep clean it. But when you go in there, you're going to find dirt, and you're going to think, who lived in this house? It happens every time. Yeah, it happens every time. Okay. All right. So it sounds like income's primarily for commercial, right?
Yes.
And then
Although sometimes, like for 2 units, like you were talking about the multifamily, so there is some residential uses but not typically for single family in higher price ranges.
Okay. Yeah, and I would say residential is a combination of both of these, the cost approach and the sales approach. And a lot of times realtors are using the gut as well as like an indicator, because there's a lot to it. No, it's like scientific. You have neurons in your gut, and there is something there.
Well,
I think it's a combination of what do you hear at church? What do you hear in your friend group? What are the interest rates? And it's hard to give all of that a percentage.
Well, it's not exact science that we do. So if two appraisers come out and look at the same property, they're probably going to have different numbers. And it's not that, they're necessarily wrong, because, I'm going to adjust differently than what another appraiser will. So on residential, we like to say if two appraisers looked at it and they're within probably 5% of each other, then that's probably pretty close to what the value is.
Yeah.
Now, if they're $50,000 apart on a residential a property, then there's a problem with one of them.
Yeah.
Now, there's more leeway with the commercial because there's fewer sales than there are in residential. And so, the old rule of thumb is, if you're within 10% of each other on two appraisals for a commercial property, then that's probably pretty decent.
Okay. Yeah, I actually just had a sale in Peru that didn't appraise out. And the appraiser did it is awesome. I love her. She does a great job. However, I have to fight for my clients who's potentially going to kill the deal.
Yep.
And so we appealed it, and another appraiser came in. It was only, let me just do the math real quick. I'll tell you exactly what the percentage off it. It's probably within that 13%. So yeah, it's 5% exactly. It's exactly what. So it was 5% off. It was what the difference is.
Okay.
And I'm in the second appraisal, it did come in at full value or better. I don't know what. Never checked on it. It didn't affect us either way, right? They cared about getting their house, and so that's what I'm focused on is getting them that house.
Well, and like I said, it's not like in my profession that you just plug the numbers in and boom, that's the answer. There's a little bit of art to it. And, I always like to tell people my job is similar to the weatherman. The weatherman, you listen to him and he makes a prediction of what the weather will be. Sometimes he's close, sometimes he's not. And that's the same way with appraisers. We basically are trying to say, okay, if you're going to put a sign in the yard, here's the most probable price I think that property would bring based upon what I see as of this date.
And appraisals are also there to help prevent, like what happened in 2008, like the housing bubble, right? And which preys on the ignorance of buyers and predatory lending is what I would argue. Does that make sense? Would you agree with that?
Yes.
Am I on the right premise?
Well, appraisers are supposed to be independent, impartial, and yes, if people are trying to build in too much, like they're trying to build in their down payment, all of their loan costs, repairs, then it's probably going to come in short of that sale price.
Yeah, I had a listing over on 400 East like 2 years ago, and they offered like $100,000 less. It's just, yeah, they literally put in a whole remodel of the house. I'm like, how? We would have priced it twice the price if it was like that. That's why we're selling it at this price.
Yeah.
That's a pretty good, solid explanation of it. Is there anything you want to add? Any questions that I should ask that I haven't asked that you're like, man, so I guess, do you have a tip for somebody? So I had a client, he owns a dojo. So it's like a karate building. And we were talking about what it would cost to replace it. And then obviously we get questions about residential appraisals and what's the future look there. When it comes to replacement, it just seems like I do not have a good footing to estimate the value of a commercial building. As I sell residential real estate, I don't typically sell commercial. Now, if you have a commercial building, you can still reach out to me, and I will co-list it with Bob or you or another qualified agent in the office. Let's say we have a relationship. I can still list it. I'm going to do it with somebody who knows what they're doing. In this way, we can get you represented, because I will not list something I'm not qualified to. But when it comes to finding those replacement values on such a unique property, what do you do when you can't find it? When you can't find the comps, when you're based solely off of it's a non-for-profit, I believe.
In that case, you may rely on like the cost approach more, because that kind of comes into play where you give it more weight with specialized use.
Okay.
And then you look and say, okay, if that building was vacant, what other uses might it be used for? And that might give you a way to find sales that would be comparable to it. So, for example, on a church, if a church is a special use property, if it were vacated, what might some other uses for that be? Well, depending on the size, someone might buy it and convert it to a home, or someone might make apartments out of it.
Both of which I've seen.
Event centers.
Isn't there one on 400 South, right before it runs into Mill Creek Pike?
I don't know. Is there?
I think there. So, you know where Bass and Bucks is, right?
Yeah.
So if you go down the hill from Bass and Bucks on the south side of the road, I want to say there's an old. It looks like an old brick building. I guess it could be a schoolhouse.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, I think that was made into a residence at one time. Yeah.
I guess that's what comes to mind.
Yeah.
It's just commercial buildings are really difficult.
Yes, they are.
I have a lot of respect for you, because I obviously you know what you're doing. You've been doing. How many years have you been an appraiser
over
for?
30.
Over 30 years.
Yeah.
Okay, so Bob has 43 years of real estate experience, and you have 30, over 30 plus. Okay, so that's your reasoning. If you have a commercial building, reach out to Christy or I, and we'll get it listed for you. But you guys list a lot of commercial buildings in Wabash.
Yeah, we've tried to work hard at it, and
Yeah. What commercial buildings do we have now listed? Is there any that come to mind?
we have one actually in Peru. It was a house originally, and it was converted to office space.
Okay.
And so that's available. I think 153.5 is the price on that. There's some land, I believe, still that John has listed on Cass Street in front of the Storeway building. One of those lots was sold.
To Jimmy John's, right?
So I
I'm
think
so excited about it.
So there's another one that's available there.
Okay.
Trying to think what else we have listed. Oh, the buildings downtown.
The $1 building. I can't think of what the name of that building is.
The $1.
Bob has it listed for $1.
Oh, the old Sposate building.
Yes.
Indiana Landmarks is involved with the sale on that, so it would have to meet some covenants and restrictions on the exterior, and cannot be used for residential because it was cleaned up from some of the environmental contamination, but no one can live there as a residence.
So it'd be perfect for some kind of office or specialty business, a cake bake, something.
Yes.
It sounds like Bob said the sellers are going to be pretty picky. They want it to go to some. That's why it's priced at $1, right? They want it to go to somebody good, and they don't want to hold that back.
Right.
And it sounds like they just don't have the drive or the finances to develop it themselves, and they want to see Wabash prosper.
They'd like to save the building.
Yeah.
And so, that's what Indiana Landmarks does, and they'd like to see someone in there do something great with it, as would the city.
Yeah. I think John Lundquist and I are going to have a listing coming up in Peru with Indiana Landmarks.
Okay.
So stay tuned for that. So if you're looking, I think it is residential in I apologize, not Peru, Huntington.
Okay.
So stay tuned. It's going to be very affordable. Unfortunately, it's going to need a complete remodel. So it's going to be priced right.
Well, and then John listed the downtown buildings there on Canal Street.
Yes, those are gorgeous.
Yes, we're totally redone. The first floor is basically white box for, I think one is kind of planned for a restaurant. The other one, could be used for really about anything. And then there are finished apartments upstairs.
Yeah. And was there 12 or 14 apartments?
Ooh, that I don't remember.
I want to say it's more than 10, though.
Yeah, I
It's not
don't
20.
remember the number. Yeah.
I think it's more than 10, but it's not 20.
But it meets code. I mean, it's sprinkled. and they're super nice.
Yeah, very high quality. Probably the best apartments you're going to find for sale in Wabash.
Yes.
Like, I don't think you're going to be able to find something in better condition.
No, I would agree.
I was
Yeah.
talking to John. It sounds like they've almost completely rebuilt that building.
Yes.
So if you're an investor and you see this and you're down in Indianapolis or Fort Wayne or Illinois, I mean, come to Wabash. We have an apartment building that is, I believe it has almost 100%
It
occupancy.
does. Yep.
So this is a cash flowing property that's move-in ready, and it's going to be a good investment. You just have to find the right person to take it on. Somebody
Yes.
who believe in it. You have to believe in Wabash County, because we are moving forward with or without you. So get on the train. We're going. So from the appraisal area and commercial properties, I have a short section in here. It just talks about residential real estate, and you've still sold way more residential real estate. I know you focus on commercial. I know you still sell residential real estate. I think you sell more residential real estate than me.
No, I don't think so. You're ahead up.
I don't know. It's close. It's close. But Mythbusters, it's a segment, 2 to 3 quick myths debunked. So one of these I have is, I should price my house high because there is no inventory. Somebody will pay it. And I discourage against this.
Well, that ship has sailed, and it sailed a couple years ago now.
Yes.
So I haven't seen values drop. Median sale prices have still increased over the past couple years. What has leveled out has been the sale to asking percentage. So where that was, maybe things were selling within 1 or 2% of their asking price, that's now probably slowed up to about 3 or 4% right now. And I've seen days on the market creep up a little bit, not horribly, but like where it was, an average days on the market a couple years ago was like maybe 20. Now it's running in the 40s.
Yeah, which is not surprising. And I remember Bob telling me first right contingencies were were very, very common. And then when I first got into it, they were essentially non-existent almost, because everything is now.
Sellers didn't own to wait.
Yep. And, I think part of that's because they printed a whole bunch of money and everybody could see that inflation was coming. And with dirt cheap interest rates, everybody could afford the moon. Which just really hurts the lower class probably the most, more than anybody.
Well, and that's attributed to the shortage of homes we still have. You have sellers that have mortgages still on that 2 to 3% range. They don't want to give up for something in the 6s now. And so they're staying put. And then we have a lack of new homes. And so, that helps keeps prices up.
Yeah. So essentially what we're saying is, my realtor, I can't specifically say as a rule of thumb, but as a whole, I would encourage you to list probably no more than 5% of what we expect your house to sell at.
I would say that would be good. If it's something that you think is going to be super appealing, and they want to test the market and they've got the time to, I usually tell a seller that, okay, we'll try it for the first maybe couple weeks. And if we're not getting anything, that's a good sign that we've got it too high.
Yeah. And get aggressive with the price cuts, because if not, it sits and then nobody comes and looks at it.
Yep.
It just sits vacant. And well, maybe not vacant. Let's say you're living there. It just sits there, and you're paying 2 mortgages, or you're paying 1 mortgage, and you have a first right contingency on a house you're trying to move to, and now people who saw the house are like, well, why is this house not selling? It's been on the market for 20 days. What's wrong with it?
The best time is when it first comes on the market. So if you're reasonable, then it's going to get attention and showings.
Yeah. Listen to the feedback you get.
Yes.
All right. Number 2, I don't need to make any updates. The buyer can just do it themselves. So this is my suggestion, and Tisha said it. Don't start new projects. Finish the ones you have. If you have half the flooring done, finish the other half. And if all the walls are painted, you don't need to go paint them a whole nother color. The seller, the new buyers may want to paint it a different color. I actually thought Tisha was like dead on with that. Don't start new projects, finish the ones you have. Sorry, go ahead.
That's okay. No, some people, though, and you can tell me if you've had a different experience, but I've had some buyers now that just want it to be move-in ready. So they want it updated. They don't want to do the work. Where a few years ago, most people weren't afraid of dealing with paint and carpet and, maybe a new countertop. But what I've seen from especially younger buyers is they want it done.
Yeah, I agree. I just think that some realtors and some sellers can get carried away with replacing stuff.
I agree.
They think I'm going to remodel the bathroom and I'm going to get that money back. And you typically, from my experience, you're the appraiser, you don't get a dollar for dollar or more per dollar on the remodel.
You get a higher percentage in kitchens and bathrooms, lesser so. Like if the carpeting is good, it's not worn out, and it's of a, fashionable color for today's standards.
It's not purple or blue.
Yeah, I wouldn't replace it. But if it's, orange shag, then yeah, you might want to consider replacing it before you put it on the market.
Gotcha. So get it to just a good standard. If it's dilapidated, repair it.
Yes.
If it's just average, leave it.
Yes.
Okay. I feel pretty much the exact same. So I agree with you. I talked to a client. He was out of LaFountain. He had an agent out of Marion, and that agent told him to remodel his whole house, and he spent like $150,000 on it.
Oh my.
Yeah. And it sold, but not for what he had in it. And he was heartbroken. So just be careful.
Yeah.
Just be cautious. Number 3, spring is the only good time to sell here. Winter listings never move. Thoughts, feelings, emotions?
It's slower. Like I think, through the holidays, Thanksgiving through New Year's is definitely slower. Everyone's thinking about Christmas. But once we get past that, it becomes an upward trend. I don't know about you, but I've shown homes in January in single digits.
Yeah.
With the car running. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I sold my house last year, and it was right around Christmas. I mean, it was literally Christmas time when I sold it, and we had three or four offers that day. And yeah, I just accepted an offer on John's listing. So it definitely, I would say I wouldn't pay a second mortgage all the way through spring.
No.
I wouldn't. You're your own person. You do your own finances. Maybe you need to talk to Tiffany Hopper at Beacon and see what her financial advisor suggestion would be.
That sounds like a good idea.
Because there's a lot of ways. There's a lot of things that contribute to it, and every situation's typically unique to some degree.
Yes.
So, see what's next. I hit it every single podcast. The best return on investment is cleaning and decluttering. Just clean your house and declutter it.
Definitely.
What are your thoughts? I hear Bob talk about it quite a bit. Equity in an FHA loan, like 100% financing or 100% finance of a USDA loan. One of the things that people don't really consider, and this goes back to the last podcast with Tiffany, is good disciplined financial decisions. If you can save up money and put it in an investment account for a year or 2 years, or you're able to live with your parents and stash money away, or you're able to buy 10% or 20% less house and do a 15-year mortgage, you're going to be in 1,000 times of a better spot. But if you max your budget out and go buy a house on 100% financing on FHA or USDA, not that those loan types are bad, but if you max your budget out, if there's any kind of downturn, you could be up a creek and without a paddle and not be able to sell your house. Because if you're maxing out, if you're paying 100% financing, you probably don't have $10,000 or $20,000 in the bank.
Well, and you think about the maintenance. I mean, most homes will have something that needs repair or will wear out, and if you don't have that cushion when you first bought the home, you're not going to have that money available if the water heater goes out 6 months after you move in.
Yep. Or you go put it on a credit card, and now you have a big giant house payment due, and you have a credit card payment due, and then the tire blows, and then you have a record service you have to pay. And so I would encourage everybody, if you're able to make better financial decisions, it's going to lower the stress of life. And I know this is life advice. Who am I to give it? But I just see it often. Maxing it out, financing, down payments, and closing costs. There's just this level of, you probably should not go max out your budget for a house.
I would agree. Yeah, because there's always something unforeseen that can happen.
I am a realtor. I make money when you buy a house, and I make more money when you buy a more expensive house. And I'm telling you, I would not max your budget out. Sincerely, like from a heartfelt, I want to see Wabash County grow, not have a 2008 housing bubble crash. Tone it back a little bit. And I've seen it with my clients. I haven't had very many clients max their budget out.
That's good. Yeah.
Marketing. What part of marketing do you think is like the best ROI, return on investment, so you get the most leads, the most eyes from marketing? And then what are some of the ones that you think advertise a house really well?
Oh boy. Well, I think the photos, and if you have videos of a home, those are, especially if they're professionally done, are the best way to put a home's best foot forward on the market. Trying to get it onto social media where you can get people to comment about it, talk about it, especially if it has unique features, like if it has a river view, something that people can weigh in on what they like and think about that feature.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah, I definitely think those short home tour videos are they hands down get the most views. Like the 30-second clips, the professional clips.
Yes.
Like they seem to do the best. And the professional photos, those are just standard.
But you can do some cool things, and be creative. We've had some professional, not just the shorts, but some professional videos done on properties that have been unique. And I feel like that gives a good overall impression of a property.
What are your thoughts on the 3D home tours? I love them, but I know not everybody does.
I'm not a big fan.
Really?
No.
Do you think they're dull? Do you think they're dull, or what are your thoughts?
Well, I don't like following the little
the arrows,
the dots through. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, you can get a good, 3D look up, down, sideways, but I just don't like being encumbered by the little dots.
I think that they do have a time and a place, but I do not think they compare to the short videos or the professional photos.
I would agree.
I think from a realtor standpoint, I think they hurt your client engagement because but it saves your client time. I think there is no better way how to truly feel the property without being there other than a 3D home tour, because you're in and you can look at the ceilings. Well, these ceilings are really tall. These ceilings are very short. That paint looks hideous. What filter did somebody apply to make it look like that? Because it's deceiving. The lighting's really dark, and in professional photos, you can brighten it right up. So I think 3D home tours could save buyers time. The con is that as a realtor, you're not interacting with that client as much when you're talking about client retention.
But I would say that's kind of happening anyway, because, when people are looking for a home, what's the first thing they do? They get online, on one of the home maps and start looking to see what's available. And it's not very often, and you can disagree with me if you have a different experience, but most of the time when I have a buyer, they're reaching out to me saying, I want to see, this property, this property, this property. And then through that conversation, if we agree to move forward together, then I'll find out more of what they're looking for. But
Yeah.
it's more rare today when I have a client calls me up and says, well, I'm looking for this, this, and this without having
A house in mind?
yes.
Yes, I absolutely agree. I'd say the anomaly is your client not looking and you bringing the houses to them.
Yes.
The standard, I shouldn't say the standard, but the norm is your client bringing houses to you.
And then from those choices, you're trying to figure out, okay, they want something that they're okay with, maybe a little work, but not a lot, nothing structural, or they want, this size of, bedroom, or, from those interactions.
Yeah, for sure. I absolutely agree. And a good realtor will also send you homes that are on the market. So, and I tell all my clients, you need to find one time of the day or multiple times of the day, and you need to check the market every day. And I will check the market every day. And life happens, and I get busy and you get busy, but between the two of us, we should be able to find a house and make an offer on a house that hits the market. So if one hits the market tonight, I should see it in the morning, or you should see it tonight when you're going to bed. I always encourage people, do it first thing in the morning, do it last thing at night, do it on your lunch break, because a good deal doesn't last.
Well, and if I know what they're looking for and I see one pop up, I'll either text them about it, or if I think it's something they really need to see, I'll slip it in on the ones that we're viewing when we have our appointment.
Yeah. Yeah, I absolutely agree. Professional photos, online advertisements, I think Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. You can watch this podcast on YouTube come the end of the year. Open houses. I've had good success with open houses. I really like them, and I typically get a client or two from them. I am the anomaly. I do not think I am the standard.
I have not. I almost sold a house once at an open house, but it didn't pan out.
Really?
They acted like they were interested, going to contact me, and then crickets. So
I had a drunk show up one time.
I've
Yeah,
not had
he came
that.
stumbling in Lincolnville. I was like, oh, great heavens. Oh,
Yeah, usually I'm there with a book for 2 hours and
flipping through.
hoping somebody shows up so I can tell them about the property I'm in.
Yeah, in realtor events, like another great option for advertising that like the client doesn't see is us interacting inside the office. Every time I'm in the office, somebody's saying, hey, I got a new listing that's going to hit over on Middle Street. Hey, I got a new listing that's hitting in Somerset. Hey, I got a new listing here. Do you have any clients for it?
Or I've got a buyer looking for this. You have anything that you're going to be listing?
Correct. That's exactly it. Amanda Boggs is listing a house. By the time this comes out, it's going to be on the market. She's listing a house over at the Wabash schools. It should be a really cute 2-bedroom, 2-bath house. So if you're in the market for it, reach out to me or Amanda. Both are we both can sell you a house. And both are, I would say Amanda's great to work with. So reach out to one of us. We want to sell it to you, and we want to get their house sold. So if it fits for you, perfect. If not, we'll keep looking every night or every morning. Other than that, just wrapping up, do you have anything you want to insert? Any questions? I guess questions for me, or anything you want to let the audience know to keep in mind when they are getting an appraisal, potentially?
That we don't, an appraiser does not set the value. We are just giving a educated opinion on what we think that value is. And we've heard sometimes people say, oh, well, yeah, my appraisal came in right at what I paid for it. Imagine that. Well, if you look at the definition of market value, the definition is it's the property's been on the market for an adequate period of time to be exposed to potential buyers. The buyer is not under any, extreme duress to have to buy something right away.
So
The
like
sellers,
a wife wouldn't count as duress. I'm joking. I'm joking.
no,
Okay.
that would not count.
Okay.
But like if they have their house sold and they have to be out of their house in 10 days,
Okay.
then that would be like a buyer under duress to buy something.
So you couldn't take that as like a authentic value indicator.
Right. So, and the seller's not under any undue extreme,
Okay.
pressure to sell. And it happens as of a specified date, as of a specified time. Each party is acting in their own best interest, which is what we see most of the time when a property sells. So why wouldn't it appraise out at that price or close to it?
So when you do an appraiser on like a short sale, can you use that as a indicator on an appraisal?
As you mean a comparable sale?
Yeah,
short
like
sale?
like a comparable
I would
sale.
not know,
Okay.
because a lot of times it's selling for less than what they owe on the property, and so it's really, I mean, they're under duress to sell.
Yeah.
So it
It's like a
doesn't meet
prime
that.
example of
Yes.
duress. Okay. All right. Yeah. And anything else?
Not that I can think of.
Okay. My final comment is save money, make wise financial decisions, listen to your professionals, consider what potential biases they may have when they give you advice. And this is authentic advice. I'm not trying to sell you any. I'm being authentic. And have fun in the home buying process. It can be really stressful. Try and make the best of it. It can be really stressful when you're waiting to find out if that appraisal is going to come back. And it, I can't remember what verse it is, but there's a verse I like. It says, worry about nothing, pray about everything. It's good advice. And tune in for the next podcast. Thank you for listening. And I hope everybody has a very happy New Year's and a Merry Christmas.
Indeed.
Thank you.
Thank you.